The next generation of NBA superstars has already been picked out. These guys are so young, yet they've proven they could take the reins and usher in a new era of basketball. However, like with most superstars, there's always some issues. Whether it's on the court or off the court, the limitations and obstacles that these guys have to face could determine their long-term success in the NBA. How's it going, folks? My name's Andy, and here is the biggest dilemma with every young superstar today. Without further ado, let's begin. Trey Young. If you've been following Trey this season, you should know he's been struggling. He had a ridiculously slow start to the year and still has not recovered. The biggest dilemma with Trey, in my opinion, is that, okay, this may sound harsh, but bear with me here. The problem is, he's not as good as he thinks he is. If you look at some of the shots he takes, they're similar kind of shots that Steph Curry or Damian Lillard take. The thing is, both Steph and Dame took many years to develop their range, and worked on other parts of their offense to get there. They worked on ways to get open. They're both seasoned veterans who know their limits, and they can identify a bad shot from a good one. For Trey, he kinda just came into the league trying to emulate their playstyle, but without the refinement. If you look at his shot selection, shots like these, they're just like, if it was literally anyone else taking them, they'd get benched. Unfortunately, Trey is a victim of his own success. Because of his successful first couple years in the league, he feels comfortable taking these shots. He's gotten used to playing a style of basketball that normally isn't logical, that most players should not follow. As the years went by, defenses now know how to defend him. They know his habits, and they know Trey will force up a bad shot that he believes he's capable of making. A good example is the 2022 playoffs, where the Miami Heat suffocated him, and he had not just the worst series of his career, but one of the worst we've ever seen from a superstar. He hit just 18% of his threes on nearly 8 attempts per game in that 5-game series, which is just horrible. Overall, his three-point accuracy isn't a huge standout. Right now, he has career averages of 7.2 attempts per game on 35%. Obviously, he takes a lot of them, many of them off the dribble and contested, so that percentage isn't bad considering the type of shots he takes. And he's hit some big shots over his career, but from a pure consistency standpoint, he's nowhere close to being the same shooter that Steph is, and he never will be. However, his regression this season has a lot to do with the Hawks' lack of spacing. Previously, he played with guys like Kevin Huerter, Danilo Gallinari, both of whom help space the floor and give Trey more space to operate, so defenses can't just blitz him on the perimeter. Now, they're gone. Plus, Bogdan Bogdanovic got moved to the bench in favor of starting DeJounte Murray as basically their second point guard. Honestly, I've never had faith in this duo in the backcourt. Last year, the Hawks ranked second in the league in offensive efficiency, but this year, it's a much different look due to different personnel, and Trey has not adjusted properly. Also, I didn't even start talking about his defense. Not just him, but the entire team has been near the bottom in defensive ratings since Trey got drafted, but that's a story for another day. Ja Morant. Morant's biggest problem at this point is his maturity. I'm sure we're all aware of what's been going on with him off the court. From the allegations that he punched a 17-year-old, threatening a security guard at a mall in Memphis, allegedly whipping out a gun in front of the Pacers security guard near their team bus, and then the whole Instagram thing after they lost to the Denver Nuggets. Of course, he's still young, he's still developing, but he's also in his 4th season in the NBA, and there's too many cases to ignore. He needs to grow up. Because of these antics, he's had multiple absences from the team. He's missed games, he's missed practices that hurt his reputation and his team. Just a season ago, it looked like the Grizzlies were on the verge of becoming the next great young team, with a squad that wanted to play together, that looked so good together at such a young age. But this year, it's been a step back for Morant and his team. The missed games and missed practices have resulted in the team's chemistry not being as good as it used to be, and it's reflected in their record. Despite winning 56 games in the previous year, they're not on pace to do that again. The growing concerns over his well-being has been the headlines of the Grizzlies season, and it's been a huge distraction for the team. Zion Williamson. There's nothing else holding Zion back besides injuries. That's his kryptonite. But it's not just that either, it's how he responds when he is injured. It's his 4th season and he's only appeared in 114 games, and to make matters worse, according to a recent injury update, Zion is apparently not even close to coming back. Brian Windhorst has said that his timetable for return is, well, there is no timetable. They don't know when he'll be back, and this has been a story throughout his career. When Zion is injured, he's not with the team. He doesn't hang around the team facilities at all. Windhorst stated the relationship between him and the Pelicans organization is kinda strained. They're distant, both literally and figuratively. He left the team in early January to go deal with this injury on his own, and he's just not been around for months. His teammates have echoed a similar sentiment. CJ McCollum was also perplexed at Zion's unwillingness to contact the team or his teammates. I haven't had conversations with him directly. I've spoken with some people close to him and I look forward to sitting down with him sooner than later. I know about as much as you do right now, but I'm gonna get to the bottom of it. JJ Redick, his former teammate, also confirmed it. This is a pattern of behavior with Zion that we are seeing again and again. I was his teammate. I can describe him as a detached teammate. That is an accurate statement. I don't know what's going on with him, but his biggest problem right now is availability. And as they all say, the best ability a player can have is availability. Zion lacks that. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Now, I had a hard time finding a problem or dilemma with Shai. He's a fantastic dude on and off the court, a humble superstar, yet he's super confident in his abilities too. He's exactly who you want from a young superstar who's gonna carry this franchise. However, one dilemma I can think of pertaining to his game is, well, his over-reliance on the mid-range might not be ideal for the playoffs. If we think of other players in the past, guys like DeMar DeRozan, CJ McCollum, they are also guys who've been primarily mid-range players for most of their careers, yet every time the playoffs start, their efficiency takes a huge dive. Of course, there's other examples in the past, like Dwayne Wade, who excels when the pressure is tough. With Shai, it's hard to tell because despite his incredible success, the sample size is a bit small still. So we're not sure if he can perform like this under real pressure. When OKC does return back to the playoffs eventually, we have yet to see how he adapts when defenses plan for him in a 7-game series. However, Shai isn't just a mid-range player though, he's a slasher who takes most of his shots close to the basket. He's an incredibly intelligent playmaker and passer. Even though he doesn't put up gaudy assist numbers, he's very calculated in where to go and always tries to make the right pass. The Thunder have a bright future for sure, and Shai will be the guy to lead them when the stakes are at its highest. Jayson Tatum. I don't have much to say about Tatum's actual performance on the court, but I do believe his biggest dilemma is that the success of the Celtics overshadows his own individual accomplishments. By that, I mean, I feel like he doesn't get enough credit for how good he is. It's not even a bad thing, it's more of a symbolic thing. Tatum wants to stand out and wants to be recognized. But when it comes to the MVP conversations, it's always about Jokic, Giannis, Embiid, heck, even Luka's name comes up despite his team's record. But what about Tatum? The guy who's the best player on the second best team in the Eastern Conference, and he's having a career season. The dude's averaging like 39 and 5. In any other season, he'd be the talk of the league. Yet this year, there's at least like 5 other players who are arguably having better seasons. Overall, I feel like when it comes to Boston and how good they've been as a team, everyone sees their success as a team effort. In the same way that when the Spurs are good, people say it's the system. For Boston, it's similar. It's not just one person who gets the credit, it's a lot of guys, which makes sense, because they have a well-rounded roster from top to bottom. Plus, the Celtics also have Jaylen Brown, another bona fide star, and he's been with Tatum for his entire career. For most of these years, they were looked at as a duo, which makes it even harder for Tatum to stand out on his own. It's only this season where Tatum really increased the gap. He's starting to manifest his own identity. Luka Doncic. This one is simple. Luka's biggest dilemma is that the Mavs cannot build around him. Remember back in the 2000s, there were so many years that the Mavs struggled to put a competent roster around Dirk? Even in his best years, his MVP season in 2007, his best teammate was Josh Howard, who became completely irrelevant after he left Dallas. I fear that Luka's career might go down the same path. The Mavs are in a horrible payroll situation. They're just one of 9 teams this season in the luxury tax, yet their team is nowhere close to contending. The roster has so many holes. Their backcourt is their only strong aspect. They've been missing a solid center for Luka's entire career. They don't have any two-way wing players anymore, which is kind of important. Having a good center and two-way wings are literally the most important things you need in the NBA today, and they had to give up DFS to get Kyrie. In my opinion, this is going to be Luka's biggest dilemma for most of his career. We all know how great he is and how much greater he can become, but can the Mavs actually surround him with a championship roster before it's too late? Anyway, that's all folks. Those are the biggest dilemmas with some of the NBA's best young superstars. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on this video. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and of course, as always, I'll see you next time. Peace.